Where does your mind go when you sleep? The king woke up, shaking. 16 dreams, one after another, each stranger and darker than the last. Cows devouring bulls, small plants somehow bearing fruit before they had even flowered. A single crow surrounded by a flock of beautiful swans that wouldn't leave it alone. King Pasenadi sat up in the dark, certain of one thing: something terrible was coming for his kingdom. By morning, his priests had an answer ready. The dreams were omens, disaster, unless the king performed an enormous sacrifice, hundreds of animals, an entire ritual built overnight to appease whatever force was sending these warnings. The king nearly agreed, but his wife, Queen Malika, suggested one more option. First, before the killing began, ask the Buddha. So he did. In the Buddhist account, the Buddha didn't treat those dreams as predictions of disaster. Instead, the story turns tension back toward the mind. The dreams in this telling become less prophecy about the future than a reflection of what the king had been carrying within. Every fear he hadn't looked at directly, every worry about the years ahead, all of it replayed back to him in stranger shapes while his body lay still. No sacrifice was needed, just a closer look at what was already right there inside him. That's where this entire question begins, not with dreams as messages from somewhere else, with dreams and sleep itself as a window into a mind that never actually switches off. It just changes what it's doing. Think about your own last night. The day ends. You lie down. The noise starts to fade. Sounds grow distant. The stream of thoughts that had been running all day begins to slow, the way a radio gets turned down, not switched off, just quieter. Your muscles let go of tension they'd been holding without you noticing. The broader Buddhist emphasis on balance also offers a useful way to think about sleep. Not too much, not too little. Too much, and the mind grows foggy, wading through mud. Too little, and it turns brittle, irritable, unable to hold a thought steady. The point was never a rule. It was finding what actually works for you. As you drift toward sleep, your senses begin to loosen their grip. Sight, sound, smell, touch. One by one, the outside world gets quieter and something else moves toward the center. There's a moment in the old accounts of the Buddha's own life worth sitting with here. Near the end of his life, after a long day of teaching, he rested under a tree. A small, simple detail, but a striking one. Even a fully awakened mind recognized that rest wasn't optional. What matters more is what came after. He woke, clear, sharp, not because sleep pulled him away from awareness, but because, approached with care, can actually sharpen it. If you want a practical way in, try this tonight. Picture yourself carrying a bag all day, worries, unfinished tasks, everything that happened. As you lie down, picture setting it on the floor beside the bed, not forcing your mind, empty, just loosening your grip on what you were carrying on purpose. So what's actually happening underneath that quiet? Buddhism describes experience as built from 5 shifting elements, the 5 khandhas, not separate parts of a machine. 5 different ways your mind is active, At any given moment, the body itself, feeling the raw pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral tone of whatever's happening, perception, recognizing, and naming what you're sensing, mental formations, your habits, intentions, the patterns running underneath most of your day, and consciousness, the basic awareness that makes any of this possible at all. During the day, all five are working constantly, feeling, perceiving, reacting, almost without pause. From this framework, sleep doesn't have to be imagined as the complete disappearance of experience. Instead, the ordinary processes we notice during waking become far less prominent. They keep the essentials running, breath, heartbeat, without needing your full attention anymore. There's an old story that gets at exactly this kind of quieting, and it has nothing to do with sleep. On the surface, a monk named Soa was struggling. He was trying so hard to focus, to force his mind into stillness that meditation had become exhausting. He went to the Buddha for help. The Buddha didn't hand him a new technique. He asked him about his old life before he became a monk. As a musician, Soa, he asked, when the strings of your lute were too tight, did it play well? No, Soa said. And when they were too loose? Also no. The mind, the Buddha told him, works the same way, not clenched, with effort, not slack, with distraction, something in between. Sleep in its own way is the body finding that exact tuning on its own without you having to force it. The mind isn't shut off, simply not being played so tightly. Some traditions within Buddhism, particularly the later Abhidhamma texts, describe this with a specific term, citta, often translated as mind or heart-mind, the whole field of thought, feeling, and awareness together. And in deep, dreamless sleep, these traditions describe something even more foundational still, running underneath it, bhavanga-citta, sometimes translated as the ground of becoming, not something you experience directly, the way you experience the thought or a feeling, more like the canvas underneath a painting, present the entire time, even when nothing is currently being painted on it. Here's a modern way to picture it, not how the classical texts describe it, just a way in. Computer, in sleep mode, the screen, dark, the fan, silent, but the operating system is still running, quietly, in the background, ready, the instant you touch a key. Low power, not no power. That's roughly how these traditions describe the citta in deep sleep, not gone, just running beneath the surface where you can't directly see it. This is where the question comes back around to Pasenadi's dreams, because between that quiet, foundational hum and full waking sits something much louder, much stranger, the part of the night where a story starts running on its own. Buddhism doesn't dismiss dreams as meaningless noise. The Dhammapada opens with the line that the mind is the forerunner of all things. Whatever you've been carrying, thinking, feeling, shapes what you experience, including what shows up at night, uninvited. If your waking life is a movie playing on a screen, dreams are what's happening behind it, in the projection room, the gears, the sprockets, sometimes turning in perfect order, sometimes jammed and rattling That's what the Buddha was pointing Pasenadi toward, not a prophecy about his kingdom, a window into everything the king had been carrying and hadn't looked at directly during the day. The dreams weren't wrong, they just weren't about the future, they were about him. Modern neuroscience ended up circling a strangely similar question from a completely different direction. Dreams are most vivid during REM sleep, when the brain's emotional centers light up while the systems involved in careful waking logic become less dominant. That's one plausible reason dreams feel so emotionally loaded and so illogical. At the same time, some researchers believe this is when the brain sorts the day's experience, processing what hasn't been resolved yet, a kind of nightly cleanup. None of this probas what the Buddha told Pasenadi. Is a different method, asking a related question roughly 2,500 years later, worth noting, not worth treating as the same claim, which is really the invitation here, not obsessively decoding every image in your dreams, but noticing them the way you'd notice anything your own mind was quietly trying to tell you. What feeling did it leave behind? What kept showing up? Beyond dreaming, there's a stretch of the night that feels like almost nothing at all. No story, no images, just deep, dreamless quiet. It's tempting to picture this as a void, an absence of anything happening. But in the traditions we've been drawing on, it isn't emptiness. It's closer to potential, the ground, everything else eventually rises from. This is exactly where that concept of bhavanga-citta sits, not something loud or dramatic, just the quiet floor. Everything else is built on top of. Neuroscience calls this stage slow wave sleep, marked by large, slow delta waves moving through the brain. The body uses this time to repair tissue, release growth hormone, and clear out waste that builds up. During a normal day of thinking, it's difficult to wake someone from this stage. Consciousness seems to have turned almost all the way down, whether it's fully absent or simply running somewhere too quiet to notice remains genuinely debated in both science and philosophy. But the fact that you can be woken, that consciousness comes back online at all, suggests something was still there the entire time, holding the space open. And then, slowly, it lifts. Light moves in through closed eyes. Sound sharpens again. The body starts to re-engage. The Buddha was known to wake before dawn, using those first quiet moments for stillness before the day's demands arrived. He understood that how you meet the first minutes of a day shapes everything after it. Think of it like setting a sail before a voyage. Set it with intention, and you're better placed to move through whatever the day throws at you. Rush out, half-conscious, reacting before you're even fully present, and you're more likely to just get tossed around by whatever hits first. The Dhammapada contrasts wakefulness with what it calls heedlessness, described there almost as a kind of death within life, moving through your hours without ever really arriving in them. To be awake, in this sense, was never only about open eyes. It meant being present for what's actually happening. There's a story about a monk who kept falling asleep. During meditation, no matter how hard he tried to stay alert, frustrated, he went to the Buddha. The Buddha didn't scold him. He told him to splash water on his face, to walk mindfully, to let his senses actually meet the world around him instead of straining against his own exhaustion. Wakefulness, in other words, isn't just the absence of sleep, something you actively build moment by moment. Modern research adds a small practical detail. Here, cortisol, a hormone tied to alertness, rises naturally in the body. Each morning, jolt yourself awake with a jarring alarm or a rush, a panic, and you can disrupt that natural rise, leaving grogginess in its place. For hours, a gentler entry tends to work with the body rather than against it. A few minutes, simply lying there, feeling breath move, noticing the weight of the body on the bed, listening to whatever sounds are already in the room. Then, if it helps, setting one small intention for the day, patience, or kindness, or simply paying attention. Pasenadi never needed that sacrifice. What he needed was someone willing to tell him that the night hadn't been sending him warnings about his kingdom. It had been showing him his own mind the whole time, the same mind that quiets every evening, drifts through its own private cinema for a few hours, sinks into something deeper and stiller than either dreaming or waking, and then somehow finds its way back to the surface again. Every single morning, you've been doing this every night of your life, falling, dreaming, going quiet, returning, most of it completely unremembered. By morning, tonight, it happens again. The only real question is what kind of attention you'll bring to the few minutes on either side of it, the letting go before you fall and the waking before the day takes over. That's not a small window for the king, turned out to be the whole answer he was looking for.